Hello, welcome to another episode of Evening Crypto with your boy, your host, the Real Shot 256. Long time no see. Channel is not dead, so whatever you heard, it's not true. Not that you would have heard any rumors whatsoever. But nonetheless, I am back. It's been a while. Thanks for you guys who are tuning back into the channel. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys listening. Leave comments, interact. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Tonight, I want to talk about one story that's going around. I want to thank and a shout out to our boy, Danny Robles, for sharing this phenomenal article. Kind of short and sweet, to the point, and it's definitely something that's worth mentioning. So we are going to talk about it briefly here. Reminder that you guys can also reach out to me and find me at the Real Shaw 256 on Twitter. You guys can follow me there, and look out for updates. Any given update, or you can even tweet at me and let me know what you want me to look at for for your favorite stock or crypto. One of the reasons that I took a little bit of a break was I wanted to get back to the roots, right? I was not focusing on the stock market yet. I found to be more profitable during this last, obviously, bull run, right? You're always going to be, it required a lot less work, a lot less, time consuming, because all I had to do is really just, as long as I was getting the right exposure and the right setups, I hardly had to do any maintenance with stocks. So I kind of want to go back to that. I know things have changed since the last time we did a video. The markets have kind of turned around. The last time I believe we were in an uptrend, we're currently experiencing quite a bit of a turnaround. Definitely a bear market, definitely some sort of recession, and quite possibly a depression, right? So, another thing to go a little bit further on that is the fact that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market seems to be tied. There seems to be a definite correlation with stocks and traditional markets. It doesn't take very much to notice that. So as far as that argument goes, about Bitcoin being a non-correlated asset, I think right about this point is when we stop really believing and saying that, just echoing that, because I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? All you have to do is look at the charts, and the information is right there. I don't need to convince anybody. No one convinced me of it. I'm looking at it. I'm making that assessment based on the information that's in front of me. So, anyway, we'll talk about that just a little bit. And yeah, again, definitely let me know what you guys think of the content. Again, my apologies for being away for so long. I don't think you guys missed me that much anyway. Whatever. Currently sitting at $206 billion market cap, $174 billion in the last 24 hours. A lot of that has been upward pressure. Ethereum being the top gainer of the day, 16. It was at 60% a few minutes ago. Now it's down to 15.93. But a few other big gainers: EOS 12%, Stellar 11%. We've got Cardano with another 10%, Litecoin with 10%. Tesos is at number 10 now with 11.30%. Where's our Chainlink buddy here? 12.9, 12.3%. So 12 in the third. So pretty good day for cryptocurrency. Not bad at all. This is why we love cryptocurrency: the volatility, the opportunity that's there. It's just a very it's a more challenging market, if you will. All right, so let's get into the story here real quick. Deutsche Bank tweets provocative Bitcoin image tied to fiat currencies. So researchers at Deutsche Bank are predicting that in addition to the far-reaching consequences that the coronavirus pandemic will have on the global economy, it may transform how central banks interact with money, forcing a pivot to digital cash. On April 3rd, Germany's largest bank tweeted an image of a Bitcoin symbol at the center of the digital network, linking several fiat currencies, including the euro, the yen, the British pound, and the US dollar. According to the researchers, the COVID-19 pandemic is accelerating the rise of central bank digital currencies as many governments see the handling of cash as a potential risk factor. This will likely add to calls to move forwards towards a digital cash, according to our Deutsche Bank research colleague. A once in a century pathogen demands once in a century solution. An obvious place to start is to accelerate the inevitable shift toward digital cash. The bank's researchers referenced the article entitled COVID-19 Cash Out, co-authored by Marion Laborn, a macro strategist at Deutsche Bank, Jürgen Bronstein, a fellow of Harvard's Belfer Center of Science and International Affairs, and Sachin Silva, a doctoral candidate and fellow at Harvard. The authors of the Cash Out report state that the pandemic's silver lining could be a move towards ditching physical cash and adopting digital currencies. In fact, COVID-19 might turn out to be the catalyst that finally brings the digital payments fully into the mainstream. Not surprisingly, the digital payments industry is already focusing on the opportunities created by the crisis. The crisis is projected to steer Britain's economy toward its greatest recession in a century. In a research note issued on Monday, Deutsche Bank says the economic jolt from lockdowns could spark a record 13% drop for the UK economy in the second quarter. The researchers note, for now, we expect growth of COVID-19 cases to peak by around mid-April. Should this prove optimistic, the hit to the economy will likely be more acute than anticipated, as central bankers try to navigate the fallout and weigh the new ways of moving money around the globe. Some industry leaders warn that a move towards digital currencies is troublesome. Now, let's get down to this last part here, because I do think there's two really big comments here. One from Don Guo, CEO of Proctagon FinTech Group. It's no surprise that France has also thrown in the hat in the ring to be the first to create a CBDC, central bank digital currency. Since China's announcement, global powers seem to be starting to recognize the inherent advantages of crypto. A country which can correctly implement a CBDC will benefit from a currency which is totally borderless, efficient, and immutable. One thing banks need to be careful of is centralizing these currencies out of existence. The founding principle of crypto was decentralization, so banks need to ensure that they don't lose sight of the benefits associated with decentralization. Otherwise, they risk pouring valuable time and resources into simply creating another fiat currency, which is very, very true. And then Meltem Demirors, the chief strategy officer at CoinShares, says cryptocurrency enthusiasts should think twice before praising a digital dollar that could give the U.S. government a direct pipeline to private financial data. Very true. Both Meltem Demirors and Don Guo hit it right on the head there. One is the decentralization part. I honestly can't see a decentralized CBDC ever in existence. Why? Because government wants to have control over data, right? That's what big government is like. That's what communist governments are like. That's what a pseudo free market such as the United States market also wants to do. So I don't think, again, there's going to be much decentralization, and I don't think that it's going to be as private. Even as it's been criticized that Bitcoin is not really a very secure private network, because it's pseudo anonymous, right? There is a cryptographic signature that encrypts your personal information, and there's ways to go around that. There's ways that you can find out and really trace transactions. I mean, that's how a lot of criminals have been caught, because they have been using digital currencies which are not very obscure or privacy oriented, such as Bitcoin. There's definitely an improvement that could be done with Bitcoin that other coins are definitely bringing to the table. I don't think that any CBDC is going to bring any sort of privacy to its network, right? And the other reason I don't think that this is going to be a decentralized currency is because, I mean, look at our market, right? You have one, and this is just my opinion, right? And it's not that I'm a maximalist, but you have one cryptocurrency that is truly decentralized, right? We have Bitcoin, and yeah, you have all the arguments about Block One and all these other, the big miner farm out in China, like all this nonsense, right? But there is no argument in my belief is there is no argument in the fact that Bitcoin is the only true decentralized currency, pseudo anonymous, right? But it is the only one in the market. Everything else out there has some sort of, call it a CEO, a president, the face of the coin, even Ethereum, right? With Mr. Buterin, the kid, right? Um, Fluffy Pony, the list goes on and off. Charlie Lee, right? Tron guy. There's always either a character behind it or there's a group of characters behind it. There's a little bit of centralization there, right? Because it always comes down to somebody's decision or a small group of people in a small room making the calls, making decisions as to where the protocol is going to go, right? So if we can't have true decentralization in our market, I highly doubt we're going to have any sort of decentralization from the government, right? Those are the last people that would want that. All right. Anyway, so that is that for the story of today. You guys can, I will I'll put the link at the description of the video. You guys can click on it, share it, do whatever you like. Thanks, Danny Robles, for always sharing great content. Shout out to you, sir. Let's see. Yeah. So again, you guys can follow me there on Twitter, and let's get into the charts. I do want to talk about some traditional market stuff because mainly, right, we were just mentioning this. We can see that both in crypto and traditional markets, we are seeing a huge bear market, right? We're seeing a huge correction, right? These sort of levels. I mean, we hit, what was the low here? About 2190 was the low. I mean, we haven't seen these levels since, Jesus. When was the last time we saw these sort of levels? That was back in 2016, right? And that was in an uptrend, right? We were coming back up from the 2008 bear market. So we haven't seen these levels since 2016. All right, big massive correction. Let's actually put a measurement on it from the top to this bottom here. That is about a 35% correction. Anything over 30 is considered to be a depression over 90 days. That is, the opinion of a lot of financial experts. I'm not one of them. I lost my license. I actually let it go, so I'm not a financial planner. So none of this stuff is financial advice. So don't take it as such. Anyway, this is we're currently in a bear market. We're currently correcting. It's trying to find its new levels for traditional markets and also Bitcoin. It could be said we just went through a long phase of consolidation for cryptocurrency markets, especially Bitcoin, and we are seeing the same thing with traditional markets. Now, if we go and go back to what I was saying about markets being correlated, I mean, look at this, right? The charts don't look exactly the same, but they don't have to. The major points are in, right. We have an uptrend followed by a massive downtrend, right? A massive correction, which is what we had more of a gradual. It is, the traditional markets are far less volatile as Bitcoin, so Bitcoin's going to show a lot more volatility, ups and downs. On a larger scale, whereas traditional markets is going to be more of a steady flow upwards or downwards until we hit this top here, and then everything just kind of went to shit, right? Anyway, we are seeing that there is some sort of correlation, especially as of late. We did hit a bottom as we did with Bitcoin, and then a gradual uptrend, sort of a new price discovery. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're consolidating, trying to find new price agreement within the market and the players in it. And that's what we're doing currently. All right, so what to do, right? How to handle this? First of all, if you're not a experienced, trader, if you haven't been trading these markets in a long time, if you don't have that experience under your belt, and I'm talking like 3 years plus, right? That's kind of where things start to get a little better for traders. If you are truly a trader, if you're an investor, completely different, right? You may not really care about this part of the video, but if you're a trader and you haven't been trading for more than 3 years, this is where it gets really tricky. You might consider just sitting this one out, maybe taking some cash out of the market and just waiting to find confirmation that this is over, because quite technically from here we could see lower levels, right? I personally think at some point, the way things are shaping up with the coronavirus, still people under lockdown, and we seem to be in this trend, right, where people are going to continue to be locked down, or staying at home, not really helping the economy, not really moving money around. So I do anticipate this to continue, right? Again, we're still in a corrective phase. I don't think that this is over by any means. Some experts are saying that we are going to see the continuation of this whole lockdown and COVID-19 pandemic thing into the summer. So this is definitely wreaking havoc on the markets, and it's going to continue to do that. Right now, we did have a nice, healthy, bounce from this bottom here, and so did a lot of stocks, right? So one thing is how to play this right. If you're an investor, this is a little bit different. If you haven't taken your cash out, it might be a good idea to take it out now, because now you've had a nice little bounce. Now, again, not financial advice, but we're sort of we're looking at the daily, and we're sort of in the middle of two things, right? The 21 and the 55. There is a chance that we get, that we do retest the 55 here, but there's also the chance that we don't, right? That we might get front ran here in between the 21 and 55 and actually come back down. But now it depends on what happens in the next couple of days. Maybe up until this week, right? The daily RSI is pointing upwards, and obviously this is playing out quite nicely. We did bottom out here, right over here, bottom out on the stochastic RSI, and then we got above it, the exponential here. We've got some momentum building here. So there's from an RSI standpoint, there is definitely opportunity to actually come back and retest a 55 here, which would be coming around 2836. I see that is definitely in the cards, unless something really bad like comes out in the news to something to the tune of the death toll just tripled, right? Instead of, because right now the expected data is that we should see the number of deaths and cases start to level out, start to flatten out, and then start to seeing a decreasing trend or curve, right? But if we do see in the next couple of weeks, if we do see some sort of data showing that there's been a huge increase in cases and deaths, I do think that it could potentially be, because it will signify that this lockdown is going to continue for a longer term, which right now a lot of analysts, a lot of economists are sort of predicting that this is going to be over sooner rather than later, right? So in the case of that, then we are going to see some lower. We should at least retest the bottom here at 2180, 2190 in the S&P, Nasdaq as well. Nasdaq had a pretty dramatic fall as well. Nasdaq had more of a V-shaped bounce here, which is pretty strong, right? It looks stronger than the S&P. But at some point, again, if we continue on this trend where the lockdown is imminent, and we see or hear news of an extension of this coronavirus lockdown, then again, look down below for opportunity. And number two, I just mentioned opportunity. Right, there's going to be opportunity. Now, I don't want to say here's the way you're going to get rich. Here's what you need to invest in to get, to really take advantage of the opportunity that's given right here, right now with this market. But at the same time, there's things that we should be talking about, right? We should be talking about some industries that are being hit hard, some industries that are really taking the brunt of this pandemic, right? And that is the travel industry, or the vacation, the leisure industry. And I'm talking about airlines. I'm talking about Caribbean cruise lines, Swedish cruise lines, any sort of cruise line is being hit really, really hard. They're probably suffering the most. Anything related to travel, and flight, airlines, leisure, Airbnb, hotel chains, those sort of industries, also transport. Those are the industries that are taking the brunt of this pandemic, right? So look for opportunity in those sectors, right? So what I did is I've been doing a list of stocks that I am definitely keeping an eye for one reason or another. But let's actually talk about some of these over here, on the right of your screen there. Let's talk about, for example, I've been a big fan of Zoom for the last couple of months. I got in at $62, $64, and I've been able to double my money in the last couple of months with Zoom. Right, I've been entering in and out. Recently, there was news that they have failed in providing the security of the user's information, and there was rumors that some of that information is being filtered over to Facebook. Not sure if that is true or not, but that's kind of what's circulating out there. Now, here's the thing, because here's why Zoom is actually working really, really well right now, is because everything's going digital, right? Zoom is one of the digital platforms providing sort of virtual meeting rooms in order for business to continue running. A lot of people, I personally, my 9 to 5, we're involved in sales and consulting of technology and some outsourcing solutions. And for our company wide, I work for it's a Fortune 100 type of company, and for anyone who is used to having face-to-face meetings, we personally, and I know a lot of companies are doing this, we are no longer to be meeting in person with any client. We're meeting over the phone or over a digital platform. Now, we don't use Zoom, right? We use a different provider. However, data is showing that Zoom is the leading provider of online meetups, right? So any business conducted that used to be conducted in person is now being conducted over a digital platform, over a remote platform solution, right? Like Zoom, and they have their customer client acquisition has gone through the roof, and they've hardly spent any money on this. It just kind of happened to be the go-to solution for facilitating any remote meetings. All right, so that is why. Now, on the opposite end, though, once this pandemic starts to run off and we start to control this thing and things are starting to get back to normal, well, you guessed it, right? The value of Zoom is definitely going to plummet, right? So you have to be careful. It's more of a mid-term play, short to mid-term play. That's how I am treating it, and so far it's worked, right? It was all the way up to, what was the top here? The height of this was $165, right? So that is the case, right? So this is something that you need to be paying attention now, because of the information leak and all the rumors that are going on that information is leaked over to Facebook. I mean, look at that, right? Since the news broke, it's down quite a bit. Um, from this top to this bottom here, it's down about 34%, right? I'm still not afraid of it. I think I actually bought back in. I sold it and bought back in here after I saw a retest of the 55 at $112. That's where I bought in $112. Anyway, if if Zoom for some reason doesn't fill your boots, then I would suggest going to look at Microsoft. Microsoft Teams is one that is also a big player and is taking some of that market share away from Zoom, right? So that you might want to look at Microsoft. They not only have Teams, but they also own Skype, right? So that is another solution you might want to look, or another stock that you might want to look at. All right, so that is one of the things that you need to be looking at. Anybody facilitating these online meetup places. I know if the other reason is, if you go on social media, all your friends, right? All of your friends, your families, everybody is jumping on these like social, meetups online, and you see the conversations being posted all over social media where, somebody met with, three of their buds, or three of their colleagues, or five of their members of their family who are spread across the country or maybe the world, right? You're seeing a lot of this activity, so look for those platforms that anybody providing those services, to be a good opportunity in your portfolio. You should have some exposure to those, right? And that is sort of the only thing that's really on an uptrend right now. If you look at Zoom, right? If you look at Zoom, it's kind of doing the opposite of what the traditional market, or other stocks are doing, especially S&P, especially Nasdaq. All those guys. I know Nasdaq just had a really nice bounce. Now let's look at airlines, for example, right? And I have them sectioned off here on my TradingView account. Alaskan Airlines, right? Look at how hard it's been hit. Now these are airlines, right? Think about this. There's world travel, there's business travel, there's personal leisure travel. People are not going to stop flying, right? They're not going to stop flying. This is a bare necessity of humans. We need to travel. We need airplanes. It facilitates. It's efficient. It's fast. It's not that expensive in a lot of cases. And just the efficiency, right? That you can get from one place in the world to another, so quick. People are not going to stop traveling. People are not going to stop flying. So this is only temporary, what you see here. And plus, the other thing is, a lot of these airlines are starting to get that help from the government, right? With the new, what was it, the CCRCA or RAC Act, that just came out on the 18th, where they included a lot of money for airlines and other. I mean, airlines is just one part of the bill, right? But it does include aid to a lot of suffering airlines. Let's look at Delta Airlines. Look at that. These guys have already sort of bottomed twice, right? So this is a good entry point for both Alaskan Airlines and Delta Airlines, right? And also look at this candle here, this doji candle. This is again significant, because these usually trigger a nice response. They trigger a bounce. Look at the last time we printed one of those, right? It was close to the bottom, and then from a downtrend, we get a spinning doji candle, and then we have a reversal, and we have a long wicked, sort of a inverted hammer candle that also means reversal. And although this is a red, it sort of was a very short-term reversal here, and then came back down, printed another reversal candle, doji candle here. So specifically with Delta Airlines, I'm going to be watching it tomorrow morning to see where we are at, but I do think this could signify a reversal. Look at, again, last time, big gap in between, right between this candle and the following daily candle. We could see something like that here. Double bottom here, and quite possibly a nice. I'm not saying that it's going to recover, and this is the absolute bottom, and we're only going to go up from here, but it is looking like a double bottom here. United Airlines, same thing. Look at that. Look at that. Doji candle, red doji, but it's still a reversal candle. Uptrend, reversal. Here we see another doji candle, could signify another reversal. And these things are pretty correlated. So if you see one thing doing it, there's very high chance, very high probability that the other one's going to do it as well, right? They just have a strong correlation, right? Again, with Alaskan Airlines, and by the way, Alaskan, Delta, and United Airlines have a heavyweight rating by the analysts over at Chase. What is it? Morgan Chase. So these airlines are going to be the stronger ones with less debt and bigger possibility of cash flow, right? So that's why they're rated as heavyweights for Chase Bank. Now, if we look at Spirit Airlines, they're navigating with some heavier debt, less cash flow, some riskier play, right? But they're still, but I mean, look at how hard they've been hit, right? Their stock is down to $10.47, all the way up from $47, right? So let's put a measurement here, all the way down, 85%. So high probability that we did hit this bottom here. I don't know if we are going to come back and retest this bottom down here, 693. But that would be the best time to buy, right? Now we're currently trading within the golden pocket, so a lot of people are going to be picking up on Spirit Airlines. Again, a little bit riskier play. They were downgraded to a lighter weight, based on Chase's analytics, based on cash flow, based on debt. So a little bit of a riskier play, but I mean, at $10.47. I'm not saying this is the best entry here. Could we go down lower? Yes, absolutely. Although it is already starting to look like we might possibly turn around here, especially if we do see here the SPY, which is already signaling sort of a breakout here, breaking above this pivot, getting above this previous line of resistance here in red. So there's two indicators that this is actually signaling as a breakout, right? It's signaling a definite breakout. We could, as I was saying, could quite potentially come back and retest the 55 here at 28, above 2,800 on the S&P. If we look at the NASDAQ, is also signaling the same thing, a breakout above this previous pivot high here. We're now above it and trading above the 200 on the daily. That is very, very significant on the NASDAQ. Again, unless some really bad news comes out tomorrow, I do think there is continuation to at least to get to at least 105.54 here. So just some things to be aware of. All right, so we talked about digital platforms. We talked about airlines. Let's now talk a little bit about Caribbean or cruise lines, right? I personally am only looking at Royal Caribbean. The other two main cruise lines, I am not looking at because they have been downgraded and they seem too risky of a play. There's talk about maybe some bankruptcy coming for one or two of those. So I don't necessarily want to get back into those, or not get back, but I don't necessarily want to enter into those. Royal Caribbean is, in my opinion, one of the stronger ones. So definitely look at that. Definitely look at Royal Caribbean as a possible, good play. You might want to be exposed to that because, again, they're structured a little bit better. Their debt and income ratio is a little bit better than some of the other Caribbean lines. So pay attention to Royal. This could definitely offer up some nice opportunity, and we do see that it is starting to bounce back up here. And what do we have? And then here's a big one too. Here is a list brought to you by the Real Shot 256. Here's a list of all the pharmaceutical companies that at least the main the main players in this coronavirus vaccine race. Inovio, Moderna, Envax, um, Guild, Abbott Laboratories. This is a list of the most commonly mentioned names in the race for a vaccine. All right, so you're welcome. This is a good list of stocks to really pay attention. I know today news broke out that INO is going to be entering the next phase of testing for their vaccine. They've tested on animals, and they are now about to start testing with humans. I've actually got a position with in INO. I am eyeing Moderna. I am eyeing Novavax, and definitely I also have a position in Guild. Um, this retest of the 30 here with Guild, or G Lead, or Guy Lead, or G Lead Science Inc. didn't quite have a retest of the 30 here. Got front ran, but I did enter a position nonetheless with them. Abbott Laboratories is also one that's being mentioned highly for a possible corona vaccine. So pay attention to these guys, right? This is some of these plays you definitely want to pay attention to, because they are going to offer. One of these is going to, I think, once somebody jumps ahead and is closer to a vaccine, although it's been mentioned that we're about a year and a half away from an actual vaccine hitting the market. There are, certainly some advances that will definitely influence the price of these. Like I said, INO is about to start human testing. Guild has actually come up with a sort of a pre-solution to a vaccine, something where there's different treatment options, not necessarily a vaccine, but something that could help patients recover from the coronavirus. So these, this short list here is going to be absolutely something that most people are going to take good notice of, because again, it does offer a lot of potential. All right. And I'll leave it at that for now. But if you guys want more, if you guys want to talk more about this, definitely DM me on Twitter, or drop a comment down below. And there's more to talk about. I mean, we could spend hours here, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to bore you with that because we still have to get to crypto, right? We still have to talk about Bitcoin. So here's what I want to talk about with Bitcoin, right? Definitely correlation between Bitcoin and traditional markets. We know that now, not as uncorrelated as we thought. And again, this is guys. There's going to be a lot of versions out there, a lot of talk, a lot of conversation around this. It's not correlated. I know Pompliano is one of the biggest shillers of the non-correlated asset conversation. It's irrelevant right now, guys. It doesn't mean that this is going to be the case forever. It just means that it's relevant for now. My conversation lately with some folks has been that, hey, there's a definite correlation right now. And this is telling of a nice little story of the crypto purists and the Bitcoin purists and maximalists that they're not going to like this. But the fact is, Wall Street has gotten more than just their toes wet on this one. They've got maybe a full hand on it, maybe about to get two hands on it. But you can tell that a lot of those players that also invest in traditional markets are definitely printing their digital their, what is it called, the digital fingerprint on this market, because again, it's investor psychology, right, or trader psychology, trader mentality. All of these things come into play, and you see them. You are seeing them in front of you. And this is not. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to sell you on the opposite narrative. I don't have a narrative. I don't care. I'm a trader. I'm an investor. All I care is I want to make money. Right? I want to make money. I do believe in Bitcoin, and some people have maybe think that I'm a maximalist. I'm not, but I do believe that Bitcoin is the reason why crypto even exists, right? This market even is what it is because of Bitcoin, right? Give credit where credit is due. So there's definite correlation until there it's not. Right now, again, the trend is your friend until it's not. Right now, there is definite correlation. You can see the psychology of traditional investors playing out in the charts, right? In the price of Bitcoin, big massive drop, big massive correction. What do we have with Bitcoin? Same thing, right? Um, so depending again, what happens with traditional markets this week, I do believe, because again, if you want to measure confidence or measure a bear market or how big of a bear sentiment there is in the market, no doubt you go to traditional markets and check, right? How is the S&P, how's Nasdaq doing, how's the Dow Jones doing, how's gold doing? Those are all indicators of what the market is feeling like, what the market is thinking, what investors and traders are thinking. You're going to hear some really ridiculous stories about how Elliott's wave predicted this move, and how bots and algorithmic trading, cost this thing. Well, who do you think programs these bots and algorithmic trading bots? I mean, right? So again, investor and trader psychology are going to be really dictating the pace and the direction of these markets. And right now, there is no exception, right? So look for one and the other to provide a solid foundation or a solid thesis on how you should be playing these markets. Whether you're playing stocks or you're playing cryptos, use it to your advantage, use it in your favor, because right now this is one of the few times we're going to get so much correlative data that it sort of supports, right, and it gives you a little bit of an advantage trading and investing, right? So look for all the tools. You definitely want to have the right tools and as many tools as you possibly can to form an advantage, right? And the market right now is offering a pretty unique opportunity that we have never seen before. I'm not saying that this is the first time it's correlated. It's not. It's been correlated for a while. I mean, this big massive drop also correlated. Go back and check. Also correlated. Digital markets actually recovered a little bit sooner than Bitcoin, but then Bitcoin had a more dramatic recovery than traditional markets here. Right. So let's get down to a more immediate analysis. We're looking at the daily. So two things, right? The SPY is saying that there's a breakout. There's an impending breakout here, and so is the Nasdaq, right? So if we're going to use correlation, my guess will be that we are going to see Bitcoin actually come back and retest the 200 here, which would mean two things, right? Further proof that it is correlated. That's number one. And two, we would be breaking out of this trend here, this rising wedge, right? We are definitely within this trend here. If we do break above it, we are currently sitting above the 55 and finding support there. If we close above 55 here, this next daily candle, I do think there's a much bigger chance that we are going to go back up and retest the 200 at 8,000. So there seems to be a retest of 8,000 coming. So jot that down, put it on a sticky note next to your keyboard or monitor. A retest of 8,000 impending, depending again on what happens tomorrow with or the next couple of days with SPY, the Nasdaq, traditional markets. Again, there is that correlation. Whatever these markets are doing, Bitcoin is doing. Call me whatever you want, but there's a data. It's in front of you. You can't deny that. Now here's another possibility. We're up against this ascending line of resistance here, and the 55. It is definitely offering some resistance here. RSI is definitely in the bullish control zone. So there's only two ways, right? There's only two ways. If you want to short this is not a bad idea. or if you want to take profits at this level here, it's not a bad idea, because we could come back and retest the 21 here, or the bottom line of ascending support here between 67.13 and call it 6,600, right? Between 67 and 6,600, we should see a bounce there. And again, depending on what happens on the market, as long as there's not bad news or doomsday type of news, I do think we're going to have a nice little bounce here and retest of the 200. All right, guys. So the more immediate time frame, that's kind of what we're seeing here for the next couple of days. If we look at the 4 hour, let's see what the 4 hour is saying. 4 hours starting to get tired, show some fatigue here. We could again potentially come back down into the neutral zone here, retest the 21 before a bounce. The 4 hour though, look at the 4 hour. This is very, very good, right? We had one test of the 200, second test, third test. On the fourth try, we actually got way above it, right? So on the way down, this is what I'm saying, 6,600, 67 to 6,600, because again, we could wick down below the 200, but here's based on the 4 hour. Here's where I really draw the line in the sand. If we start closing to 4 hours below the 200 here, that's where the downtrend gets a little more serious, right? You should pay more attention. And if we start closing to 4 hours below the 200, then the 6,600 thesis is becoming all more realistic. If we bounce off of the 200 here, then that is even better news for the bulls, right? Because we are going to come back and retest 8,000 first, right around this area here. And then quite possibly, depending on what happens there, could retest 8,300, where the 200 simple is coming in above the 200 AMA. All right, so that is more of an immediate time frame. Again, watch out for this, because again, we could come back and retest at 255 or this bottom area of support here. All right. Think that we covered everything that we wanted to cover tonight. It's been a longer video, but I do think that it warranted the information. The longer video. I hadn't done one of these in a while, and there's just a lot of things that have been on my mind, a lot of things that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and bring you these opportunities that are out there. As far as crypto, let's talk some opportunity about crypto, right? From here on out, from once this pandemic thing blows over and things start to clear up a bit, and the economy starts to, which by the way, I don't think that the economy is just going to have a V-shaped recovery like a lot of people are saying. It's not. Because again, this is going to have a longer term effect. The longer it goes on, the longer the effect is going to take to recover from it, right? Because again, it's like taking a shovel and starting to dig, right? The longer you dig, the deeper you get in, right? So it's going to take the longer we stay within this trend, then it's going to take us a lot longer to get out of it as well. So what's going to happen once this thing clears over, once we start going back to work, everybody starts living their usual lives, things will take a while, but I do think crypto is definitely going to recover. Where I'm looking to make some bets is obviously Bitcoin is one of them. Ethereum is going to be another one. You guys know that I'm a big fan of sticking with the top 10, top 15, but I do have my picks within that list. So Bitcoin, you definitely want to stick to. Ethereum, look at Ethereum. Ethereum has a great backing. We were talking about Mr. Buterin and some sort of centralization with that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a massive, massive project. One of the projects with the most developers in it, with the most activity. It's offering the smart contract platform, the dApps, all that good stuff. I mean, it's definitely a serious contender for a longer term. So is this a good place to enter? Yeah, I mean, for the shorter term, if you're a trader, not really. If you're an investor, it doesn't really matter. I mean, timing is much more important with Ethereum if you're an investor, because obviously you could have gotten in back here. That was a much better entry down here, obviously. But with Ethereum, it's just one of those solid projects that long term your money is going to be, I'm not going to say safe, but your money you'll make some money in the long term, right? So your bets should be in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Charlie Lee, massive character within the crypto sphere. Everybody knows who he is. He's got a pretty good team of developers there, good community backing it. You want to definitely, if you don't want to just have all your money in Bitcoin and all you care is about crypto, then Litecoin is definitely one of those projects that is sure to live up to its reputation. Cardano, for me, I've lost a lot of respect for Cardano. It's just taken a massive amount of time to even launch their mainnet. It's ridiculous the amount of time. They keep saying, Mr. Charles Hutchinson keeps saying that he wants to get it right, this and that, blah blah blah. I don't know. It just seems like he's, I don't know, elongating this process more than it needs to. Lost a little bit of respect and hope for those guys over there. Anyway, doesn't matter. BNB coin is obviously one of those that you definitely want to be in. Um, if you believe in what CZ is doing, I think the guy is just brilliant. Not to say that he's perfect. He's not. He's done a lot of iffy things, in my opinion. The last thing is he's trying to buy, or maybe he already did buy out Coin Market Cap, which would centralize and just. I see a huge issue there and huge. Conflict of interest there for Binance and CoinMarketCap. I don't think that is a good move, and I don't think that would benefit the cryptosphere at all. But BNB is a good coin. It's solid. It's backed by a solid foundation. It's backed by solid group over there at Binance. I do think that is going to be something for the long term is going to it's going to be one of those coins that will outlast a lot of other players. And finally, Link is definitely one of those that it's proven itself, right? Look at the chart and tell me the story. This is one of those that I do think has a huge community, huge following, huge support, and it's serving a sort of it's definitely filling a gap within the cryptosphere with its Oracle network, where it's trying to connect blockchains all around and being sort of a hub for a smart contract connectivity, if you will, and also interoperability. So I do think Link long term is one of those that is going to offer a lot of opportunity. Highly volatile, but also very rewarding project, right? Right now, it does seem to follow, and it does seem to be playing with the rest of the market, crypto market, in its chart. Sort of a gradual uptrend here, breakout right now, currently above the 200. If this remains, and also Bitcoin goes up and traditional markets go up, I do think you want to be in Link. It's going to offer one of the best possibilities out there in this crypto sphere. So keep it safe. Keep it in places where you're not going to lose your money. Don't bet on XYZ coin that's 900th in the coin market cap list, because you're just playing with fire at that point. All right, guys. Those are my picks for the recovery of this market once we get out of this coronavirus. Let me know what you guys think. If you have a project that you are hard set on that it's going to be the next big thing, definitely leave it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And again, if there's something you want to cover, reach out, DM me, whatever, on Twitter, on YouTube. Let's chat it out. All right, guys. Sorry about the longer video. I hope that you got something in exchange for your time tonight. I appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. Give it a like, share it, and subscribe. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Great night.